Joining me now, my good friend from the American Jobs Alliance, Curtis Ellis. He's their executive director. Curtis, great to have you with us.
It's great to be here with you, John, once again.
It's always good. Now, I just, you know what? Let me tell you something that has just it has unnerved me, and it's a pretty pablum statement. But here's what's unnerved me last week. When Mitch McConnell said, my objective is to show America that we as Republicans can govern. And as soon as he said that, I'm thinking trade bills, I'm thinking Trans-Pacific Partnership nonsense, son of NAFTA, very upset. Let me ask you this, Curtis. Now that John Boehner's the Speaker, Mitch McConnell's the Majority Leader, Republicans have historic majorities now in the House and a pretty formidable majority in the Senate. What do you think Obama's next power grab will be? Or to put it another way, when do you think the Republican-controlled Congress, with a bigger majority than almost ever, right, is going to give, are they going to give Obama even more power based on what they just did with the omnibus amnesty cave-in?
Well, I'm sorry to say, all indications are they will. They will give Obama even more power. This is not what the voters expected when they pulled the lever or filled in the bubble or did the touch screen and pressed the Republican side of the ballot. But all indications, by their own words, they are going to give Obama even more power. And the next power grab, which Mitch McConnell and John Boehner have said they accede to, is to give him this extraordinary power, this extraordinary unconstitutional power called fast-track trade promotion authority. This could start speeding down the track as soon as this month, and it's going to probably originate in the Senate. Because Mitch McConnell has said what he wants to do is give Obama this fast-track power to conclude the so-called trade agreements, but which really have nothing to do with trade, but they have everything to do with opening our borders and erasing our borders, our national borders of the United States of America.
Well, Curtis, let me ask you this. That doesn't benefit Americans. It doesn't create jobs. It takes jobs away. It does nothing for the average Main Street working guy. Nothing. Zero. Maybe it does good if you own a big company and you've got billions of dollars in Silicon Valley, you get cheap labor. Or maybe if you own one of these huge retailers like Walmart, you get cheap labor. But for the average guy trying to squeak a living out, this does nothing. This just harms them. How is this in the best interest of the Republican Party?
Well, there you go, John. You hit the nail on the head. This is not in the interest of the best interest of the Republican Party. The Republican Party has a historic opportunity here to grab the middle class, to grab all working Americans, all Americans who work for a living, and have them begin to identify, have them identify with the Republican Party. Here's a chance to sever the last connection, the last vestige of illusion that the Democrat Party represents the working Americans. Because, but instead, we've got the leaders like McConnell and Boehner identifying with the country club, 1%, as the Occupy people would call them, with the boardroom elites, with the Wall Street bailout babies, and doing what's in their interest instead of doing what's in the interest of the Americans who work for a living. See, they have it maybe, they don't even have it half right looking what happened with the CRONNIES bill. But when the Republicans talk about immigration, they get the ear of the Americans who work for a living, because the working Americans understand that bringing in unlimited amounts of illegal cheap labor is hurts them. But then they lose them when they start talking about these phony trade bills, which really aren't about trade at all, but about really labor arbitrage. It's about finding cheap labor around the world. If you can't bring the cheap labor into the U.S. via amnesty, let's just go to the cheap labor in Vietnam and Bangladesh through these phony trade bills.
Well, they are phony, and they call them free trade, which is basically an oxymoron because they're costing us American jobs, they're costing us productivity, they're costing us manufacturers. This is anything but free. See, once again, what we've got
it's
here,
not free,
it's
and
not
it's
free.
Not trade. That's what Reason Magazine.
It's not trade either.
The hotbed of libertarian thinking. It's about greater regulation and setting up these global panels and global rules that will be binding on everybody. And it's all about the big multinational globe straddling corporations. It's writing a set of rules that they can comply with, but that's going to put everybody else out of business. It's the same old scam we've seen with government regulation going back to the New Deal. The big boys sit at the table where they write the rules, and they write the rules in a way that writes the little guy right out of business. The big boys can comply with these rules. The little guy can't. It's very simple. It's been going on for hundreds of years.
Curtis, this is a big issue because, you know, we went from the lame duck Congress to the new Congress. We're still talking about fast-track bills. This is all an effort to, it's what I call the Incumbent Protection Act. Because this is not, as we said, this is not free trade. This has nothing to do with trade. All this is about is bigger companies with big money lobbyists who pour millions and millions of dollars back into the campaign coffers of these incumbents to keep reelecting them in perpetuity. You can't ever beat them because they outspend people 8, 9, 10 to 1. So they do that. And then, as you said, they rig the game.
That's right. This is who's in favor of this, right? If the American people are against it, and poll after poll after poll shows that the broad mass of American people of both parties oppose this. Conservatives and the conservatives who identify with Tea Party oppose it in even greater numbers than anybody else. So who's for it? It's the U.S. Chamber of Cronies. It's just what you said, the big companies that write the rules, that have no interest in this country, that don't believe in America. They believe they have this globalist vision. We're citizens of the world. We do business everywhere. And they're the people who've invested up to the eyeballs in China and built the threat that China poses right now, this undemocratic communist nation over there. They took it out of the gutter and elevated it to superpower status with the capital that was accumulated by Americans working for hundreds of years. You know, we built these companies up, and now these companies have turned their back on America, and now they're trying to institutionalize that through this thing like the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Let me just say, I kind of skipped over this. What is this power grab that Obama's going to do? It's called Fast Track Trade Promotion Authority. It gives him the power to negotiate this deal in secret, just like he ran Benghazi, in secret, just like he ran the IRS scam, in secret. And before he even shows it to Congress, he will sign this agreement. He will sign the Trans-Pacific Partnership before he shows it to Congress. And then, when he finally sends it up to Capitol Hill for their approval, he gets to dictate when they vote on it, right? This is incredible. Here we have a GOP majority in both houses of Congress, and the first thing they want to do is surrender control of the floor agenda and give it to Barack Obama. So he gets to tell them what they vote on, when they vote on it, and get this, no amendments. They're not allowed to amend it. Now, Mitch McConnell is prancing around Capitol Hill saying everything's going to be done on regular order. We got rid of Harry Reid, who would not allow amendments to bills. We're going to change all that. And the first thing he wants to do is give Barack Obama fast-track power to outlaw amendments on the Senate floor. What kind of liar is this?
Curtis,
I'm sorry, I'm getting upset, but
look,
it's just
you got to
incredible.
get upset. Somebody's got to get
just
upset.
Incredible.
I mean, again, it gets back to what was the point of the midterm election. But look, this is an unholy alliance Why is McConnell going to and Boehner going to give Obama this power, this fast-track power? Curtis, is very simple. They want this.
That's right.
They want it.
Look, it's two wings on the same bird of prey. That's what Pat Buchanan said about the two parties. We've got the leadership of the Republican Party, Mitch McConnell and John Boehner, and the leadership of the Democrat Party, Barack Obama, and they are behaving as two wings on the same bird of prey. And it's this globalist vulture, this globalist raptor that wants to eat America alive.
And it's
and they're both cooperating with it. And you know, the whole thing's a sham. We're supposed to be arguing about Democrats, Republicans, and I just voted for the Republicans. We're going to be able to take power back. And then you've got Barack Obama saying, "Hope and change. Vote for me. Get rid of that George Bush. Let's vote Democrat. Hope and change." And we get the same garbage served to us by the leaders of both of these parties. You begin to wonder who's really in charge.
Well, there's not a dime's worth of difference. That's the bottom line, because it's about incumbency, bigger government, power, and by McConnell and Boehner punting and doing this unholy alliance and giving the president power that he doesn't deserve or need to have so that he can then fast-track these secret treaties, at the end of the day, it helps Boehner and McConnell maintain their majorities and maintain power, which at the end of the day is all they want.
That's right, because this will funnel more money from the Chamber of Cronies into the Republican campaign coffers, and the Business Roundtable and the Multinational Association of Manufacturers and the import lobby and the outsource lobby and the amnesty lobby. They will all be giving money, writing checks to Boehner and McConnell and their favored candidates. And that's the deal. Now, you know, the justification that these clowns use is, well, you know, Obama's got to have the power to negotiate this thing in secret, and we can't allow Congress to change one word on this deal because that's the only way these other countries are ever going to feel confident about signing on to this deal. I mean, if Congress were to change this, if they were to think Congress could change this this treaty we're negotiating, they wouldn't they wouldn't put their best offer on the table. Well, you know, that's ridiculous. I mean, there's a lot of fast talk. So I have a suggestion for you. If Congress were involved in writing this deal in the first place, well, then we would be confident that Congress would pass it without changing it. How about that? How about we use the government the Constitution gave us, and we use the system the Constitution set up, which says, Article 1, Section 8, Congress has the power to regulate commerce with foreign nations.
Right.
How about we use that system, have Congress involved every step of the way, all along the way. That way, this bozo in the White House, when he goes out to negotiate, he is negotiating what Congress tells him to negotiate.
Absolutely.
That way, when he comes back with a deal and gives it to Congress, boom, they'll pass it because they helped negotiate it.
Right. But see, they don't want that, because then what they're going to pass is going to limit the amount of money that the globalists can make and reap off this bill, which is going to then diminish the amount of money the lobbyists and their political action committees can give back to the incumbents who are in charge. So that's why they'll never do that, because they're not interested in doing the right thing.
They say, we've got to give Obama this unprecedented power to negotiate things in secret without showing it to Congress. By the way, they've been negotiating this Trans-Pacific Partnership, not showing it to Congress, but they have been showing it to 600 corporatist lobbyists. They get to see it all along the way.
Because they're writing their own rules.
Your elected representative is not allowed to be at the negotiating table or to look over the shoulder of the negotiators.
Right.
But the Chamber of Cronies, they get to be at the table.
I like that, Chamber of Cronies. Hey, Curtis, Ellis, I got a half a minute. What can we do about it? Where do people go if they're as outraged as we are by this whole thing?
Well, we've got to get on our elected representatives and tell them, do not give Obama more power. You can go, we've set it up very easily. You can go to AmericanJobsAlliance.com, or I've got a better one for you. Easy to remember, Obama Trade. Go to obamatrade.com, and right on the front page, there's a link where you can send, you press the button, and you can send an email to Congress. Now, I know people say, well, Congress, you've just been going on for 20 minutes about how Congress is bought and sold by the cronies. What do they listen to us?